Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant. Today we are at the next topic, that is the endgame studies explained. We are at the 70th position of our topic. Today we have got a position based on the concept of mating net. We see that the black king is badly stuck in the corner of the board and white pawn and the bishop are in a position to attack the king instantly. We can see that black has an extra queen versus rook and bishop, so queen is not really an extra piece here. The rook and bishop's combined ability in this kind of endgames can often ensure a draw, at least because there are less number of pawns. Of course, this is a position with white to play and win. We see various mating patterns coming into play in this position. So if we get down to the position quickly, we see that this bishop d8 check plays an important role, because after which g5 will be forced and white wants to mate with g3. So the black queen is currently guarding some important squares. The queen wants to be on the last rank so that it guards d8 square. Some lines bishop e1 check has to be guarded, so the e8 square plays an important role. Also the queen can give check from the b8 square, which plays a major role. Finding the first move for white may not be that difficult once we realize the idea, but sticking to it and then calculating the variations is slightly difficult over here. The position is not very deep, and if we see further, even after making sacrifices, solving the position might be possible. So here white gets down with the simple task. He goes with the move rook c2, deflecting the queen. But the move rook c2 in itself, although is easy to find, the continuation is not that easy to see, because after rook c2 we see that queen c2, then bishop d8 check, and there is the move g5. After which we see that the queen on c2 is spinning the g2 pawn, so there is no g3 check, and it looks like that variation will not offer anything, because one bishop against the queen, see, there is no comparison between their powers and black should be able to prevail, right? Moreover, after rook c2 we see that it's not forced to take the rook also. The queen has several places, but the point is the queen has very less to choose from, because if queen goes to b8 with a check, then comes bc7. When after the queen is attacked, there are a couple of threats. Mainly there is the threat of g3, and in some lines there is the threat of bishop d8 check, which makes the task very difficult for black. We will get down to those lines soon. After qb8 bc7, as I said, we will almost transpose to the lines what we are going to get later. So let's get down to the moves queen e8 and queen f8. Both moves have their significance, because if queen comes to e8, it stops b1 check, okay? And if queen comes to f8, then just the d8 square is guarded, and we stop the idea what makes queen e7 fail. So let's see queen e8 first in order to understand what's going on. Right now b1 check is not there, and even if it was there, king would have escaped from g5. Like g3 check allows kg5, the king escapes. So here comes the strong move rook c5. Same would have happened to bc7, qb8 bc7 queen e8, and then again there would have been rook c5. The point is, if we had this position, then after queen e1 check there would have been the move g3, when queen g3 bg3 mates. Right now black queen is struggling because it is coming under such overloading that it has to guard e1, it has to guard d8, and it has to stop the check on g3. So nothing is available to control all the three squares. Suppose queen e3, then bishop d8 wins. Suppose queen e2, then bishop d8 check, and it's game over. Has to play g5 when bg5 mates. So this position is losing for black. Hence it is clear that queen e8 allows the move rook c5. Thus after the move rook c2, immediately next we consider the move queen f8. When we see that the c5 square is blocked by the queen, so rook c5 is not available. But the poor placing of the queen on the f5 allows white a simple tactics like rook c4 check, kg5, bd2 check, and it is game over, because f4 is guarded king can't go back to g4. King is denied of the h6 square. After king f5 or king f6, both allow. Rook f4 check, g7, rook takes f8, king takes f8, and white is a piece up. You will be able to convert the game very easily. Thus, the main line of analysis, I think, is the move queen c2, which looks a little tricky at first, because after rook c2, queen c2, first there is bishop d8 check, forcing g5, and here comes the very strong bishop a5. The idea looks very strange at first. Bishop is fighting against the queen, but the threat is dangerous. We see that firstly this pin has to be maintained, because if the queen moves away, then g3 mates. Secondly, white has renewed a threat. be1 is threatened right now, which happens to be mate. And finally, if black tries to play g4, then also bd8 is an instant checkmate. So what can black do now? Black has to wait with his queen and try to control the e1 square and the g3 square. So two moves come to mind, that is, one is queen e2 and other is queen f2. These are absolutely necessary. After queen e2, white goes with the move bishop c7. We see that the check is stopped from e5 and white himself wants bg3 mate. Same problem to g4, again bd8, queen e7 and bishop e7 mates. So forced to go queen f2. When we see that bg3 and g3 check, both are guarded, but now white has the very strong bd6. Do note the point of bd6. If the bishop is on b8, then we don't have diagonal to give check to the king. If the bishop comes to e5, then g4, bf6 check won't be possible. Now bishop on d6 has stopped g4, because b7, queen f6, bf6 mates. And what will black do now? Because apart from queen f4 check, it's like there is nothing much in the position. And after queen f4 check, I hope you must have not missed g3 check, when we see queen g3 check and bishop g3 checkmates. So the check is met by a check and the black king gets mated. So rarely we see this kind of thing. When a check is met by a check, it is usually the discovered check which allows the check to our piece. But here the interference of the piece has also led to a check and white wins. And the final variation would be the move queen f2 after bishop a5. When we see again repetition of the same idea, white has simple bishop c7. Nothing much has changed. Black queen is unable to keep the pin, control the g3 square, and is unable to move the pawn to g4 as well because of bd8. And the same lines emerge. Now queen f4, then again g3 check, queen g3, bishop g3 checkmates, g4, bd8, queen f6, and bishop f6 checkmate. I found the position a bit unique, where we solely focused on the mating net part, but another interesting thing was how the lone bishop dominated over the black queen. I hope you will find this lesson interesting and useful. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.